All right, so this is going to be another movie review. This one's called The Shop Around the Corner, 1940, U.S. romantic comedy film. I'm giving it 1 out of 5 stars. I hate this flick. I only got a couple chuckles out of it, which is a lot for this type of movie. Produced and directed by Ernest Lubitsch and starring Margaret Sullivan, whom I've never seen before, not familiar with. She's only been in a very small amount of films. James Stewart and Frank Morgan from Wizard of Oz. Frank Morgan is the Wizard of Oz, the man behind the curtain. The supporting cast included Joseph Schildkraut, Sarah Hayden, Felix Bressert, and William Tracy. I don't know who these people are. The screenplay was written by Samson Raffleson based on the 1937 Hungarian play Parfumerie by Milkos Laszlo. Milkos Laszlo. Eschewing regional politics in the years leading up to World War II, the film is about two employees at a leather goods shop in Budapest who can barely stand each other, not realizing they're falling in love, as anonymous correspondence through their letters. Plot revived in the 1998 film You've Got Mail, starring Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan, which I'll probably never see in my lifetime. So help me God. The Shop Around the Corner is ranked number 28 on AFI's 100 Years, 100 Passions, as listed in Time's all-time 100 movies. In 1999, the film was selected for preservation in the United States Film Registry by the Library of Congress as being so culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. In other words, I hate it. Alfred Kralik, James Stewart, is the top salesman at a leather goods shop in Budapest owned by the high-strung Mr. Hugo Matischek. Frank Morgan, the Wizard of Oz, the man behind the curtain. Kralik's co-workers at Matischek and Company include his friend Pirovich, Felix Bressert, a kindly family man. Ferenc Vadis, Joseph Schreidkraut, a two-faced womanizer. But the Wizard of Oz thinks that James Stewart is a two-faced womanizer. Saleswoman Ilona Novatoni, Inez Courtney, clerk Flora Kosek, Sarah Hayden, and Pepe Katona, William Tracy, an ambitious, precocious delivery boy. One morning, Kralik reveals to Pirovich that he's been corresponding anonymously with an intelligent and cultured woman whose ad he came across in the newspaper. Oh, they both read Tolstoy. Kralik is Mr. Matischek's oldest and most trusted employee, but lately there has been tension between the two because the man behind the curtain thinks that James Stewart is cheating on his wife. They get into an argument over Mr. Matischek's ideal to sell a cigarette box that plays Ochi Cherney when open. After their exchange, Clara Novak, Margaret Sullivan, enters the gift shop looking for a job. Kralik tells her there are no openings. Oh, it must be the never-ending Great Depression. But when she is able to sell one of the cigarette boxes as a candy box instead, Mr. Matischek hires her. However, she and Kralik do not get along. It's a game that she's trying to play with him. By the way, this thing is 99 minutes. Felt like 3 hours. I probably have time to review both The Crawling Hand and Invasion of the Animal People today. because my nap was only 20 minutes long. And so I was sort of made up for my little green apple soda run early this morning, last minute. Mr. Matichek begins to suspect his wife is having an affair as she stays out late and requests money from him. He's always on the phone with her, and she always asks him for money. As Christmas approaches, Kralik is preparing to meet his mystery correspondent for a dinner date. The meeting is frustrated when Mr. Matichek demands that everyone stay after work. Later, Kralik is called into Mr. Matichek's office and he is fired. No one in the shop understands Mr. Matichek's actions are related to his suspicions that Kralik is having an affair with his wife. False witness. Later, Mr. Matichek meets a private investigator who informs him that his wife is having an affair with one of his employees, Ferenc Vadis. Pepe returns to the shop just in time to prevent Mr. Matichek from committing suicide by shooting himself in the head like Kurt Cobain. Meanwhile, Kralik arrives at the Cafe Nitsa, where he discovers that his mystery man is Novak. His mystery woman is Novak. So he's standing there with his family man buddy, former coworker, and he peeps through the window and he tells James Stewart that the correspondence lady is actually the person that he most hates. Despite his disappointment, Kralik goes in and he talks with her. Kind of sparks his curiosity. Pretending he is there to meet Perovich. In his mind, Kralik tries to reconcile the culture woman of his letters with his annoying coworker, secretly hoping that things might work out with her. Oh, must be getting pretty desperate. She's not pretty. Margaret Sullivan. Concerned that Kralik's presence will spoil her first meeting with her far superior mystery correspondent, she calls Kralik a little insignificant clerk, and she asks him to leave. All of the scenes between these two are very uncomfortable and kind of awkward. I didn't like it. Later that night, Kralik goes to the hospital to visit Mr. Matichek, who offers him a job as manager of Matichek and Company after he falsely presumed that James Stewart was cheating on his wife. Grateful to Pepe for saving his life, Mr. Matichek promotes him to clerk. The next day, Novak calls in sick after her mystery man failed to show. But he was there. She just didn't know it. She shooed him away. That night, Kralik visits her at her apartment. During his visit, she receives a letter from her correspondent, and she reads it in front of Kralik, who wrote the letter. She suddenly feels better, and she's ready to go to work tomorrow. 2 weeks later, on Christmas Eve, Matichek and Company achieves record sales, almost 10,000 in Kronig or whatever. Kralik and Miss Novak, alone in the shop, talk about their planned dates for the evening, and Miss Novak reveals that she has a crush on Kralik when they first met. And then Kralik pretends to have met Novak's mystery man. I don't want to reveal the ending, but yeah, I'm just going to plod through this, get it over with, skip it. Not highly recommended. Don't check it out. Skip it. The Shop Around the Corner. All right. On Rotten Tomatoes, has a weighted average of 8.51 out of 10. That's huge. The Shop Around the Corner was dramatized in 2 half-hour broadcasts of the Screen Guild Theater, first on September 29th, 1940, with Margaret Sullivan and James Stewart. Second, on February 26, 1945, with Van Johnson and Phyllis Thaxter. How come I wasn't on the bonus features? How come I only get Lux soap radio shows? It was also dramatized as a 1-hour program on Lux Radio Theater's June 23rd, 1941 broadcast with Claudette Colbert and Don Amici. Why wasn't that on the bonus features then? The film spawned a musical remake in The Good Old Summertime, 1949, which stars Judy Garland and Van Johnson. So this movie has 2 remakes in the Good Old Summertime, and You've Got Mail. The 1963 Broadway musical She Loves Me was also inspired by the play in the film. The film You've Got Mail, with Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan, revolves around 2 people who dislike each other while developing an anonymous romance by email correspondent. Oh, it's different than regular mail because it's 1998, the advent of email. The film uses plot elements and dialogue lines similar to the 1940 film, especially during the first date. Screen credit for You've Got Mail is written by Miklos Laszlo for correspondence. The film uses plot elements and dialogue lines similar to the 1940 film, especially during the first date. Screen credit of You've Got Mail is given to Miklos Laszlo for Parfumery, the play on which the 1940 film is based. But in a nod to the earlier film, one of the protagonists of You've Got Mail owns a bookstore named The Shop Around the Corner. The 1996 Indian Tamil language romance film Kadal Kattai, directed by Agathian, is an unofficial remake of The Shop Around the Corner. So we've got 3 remakes: In the Good Old Summertime, You've Got Mail, and the Indian remake Kadal Kattai. So, let's see what this. I'd read you the 8.1 out of 10 on IMDb. 33,000 ratings. Holy cow. This thing is hugely popular and incredible. I'd give you the box office information, but it doesn't make sense to me. Maybe somebody can explain this to me. It's got me scratching my head, literally. Budget, 500,000. Box office, 380,000 EU. I didn't even know they had EU back in 1940. It makes no sense. Wikipedia is bunk information sometimes. It's sketchy. All right, let's go down the list. The list is very long. Where'd you go?
Blow my nose.
Oh. My son is having issues. He knocked over his bottle of well, it was empty, but it used to have green apple soda, Jones green apple. I think I have 5 left. And I'm bringing 3 of them to the park today. So I'll probably do my next review from the park. Or maybe I can get it in before I go to the park. Seeing as how I only got about 20 minutes left on The Crawling Hand, which is the first on my list, 1963. Invasion of the Animal People, 1959, Jerry Warren. And Adrian still thinks that Ed Wood is the king of bad movies. But on every single Jerry Warren movie on IMDb, there's at least one reviewer who says that Jerry Warren makes Ed Wood look like Gone with the Wind. The Jungle, 1952. One Body Too Many, 1944. Blood Warriors, 1993. Screaming Tiger, 1973. The Wild World of Batwoman, 1966. Queen of the Amazons, 1947. Hell Up in Harlem, 1973. Snow Beast, 1977. Platoon Leader, 1988. Sherlock Holmes, The Case of the Reluctant Carpenter, TV episode 21, 1955. Mercenary Fighters, 1988. The Buckskin Lady, 1957. Stormcatcher, 1999. The Taking of Beverly Hills, 1991. The Manster, 1959. Bedside Manor, 1945. Dark Mountain, 1944. Bedside Manor is also known as Her Favorite Patient. The Crater Monster, 1977. The Giant Spider Invasion. Stick, 1985. The Forest, 1982. The Forest. Phantom from Space, 1953. The Dungeon of Harrow, 1962. The Amazing Mr. X, 1948. Damnation Alley, 1977. Shadow Warriors 2, 1999. Law of the Jungle, 1942. Blake of Scotland Yard, 1937. Kansas City Confidential, 1952. The White Cannibal Queen, 1980. Windjammer, 1937. Swampfire, 1946. Police Story 4. Blood Ring, 1991. Hostile Country, 1950. Rotor. The Wrong Road, 1937. You Bet Your Life. Identity Unknown, 1945. Chain for Life, 1952. Untamed Women, 1952. The Case of the Christmas Pudding, Sherlock Holmes TV episode 23, 1955. Texas Brooklyn Heaven, 1948. Beast from Haunted Cave, 1959. Moon of the Wolf, 1972. Hurricane Smith, 1992. Sherlock Holmes, The Case of the Careless Suffragette, TV episode 20, 1955. Showdown, 1993. Best of the Best 2. TNT, 1997. My Dear Secretary, 1948. The Mystery Man, 1935. Bride of the Gorilla, 1951. Letter of Introduction, 1938. Dick Tracy versus the Mole, Season 1, Episodes 9 through 12. Dick Tracy television show with Ralph Byrd, no less. Devil's Island, 1939. Is that Ralph Byrd's last hurrah? Only Professor Quiz would know the answer to that. Ralph Byrd. What happened to Ralph Byrd? So Bird was forced to cope with long hours and strenuous action scenes. The accelerated pace of TV production took its toll on the overworked actor's health, and he succumbed to a heart attack in Tarzana, California on August 18th, 1952, and is buried at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Glendale. He was only 43 years old. So Dick Tracy literally gave him a heart attack. Probably from smoking cigarettes too. I would imagine. But anyways, end of my review. I guess we're headed out to the park in about an hour and a half. Almost 2 hours from now. Hour 45 minutes. So my next review will be Crawling Hand, which is a 5 out of 5 stars. It's so bad that it's a good type movie. Thank God I went from horrible Netflix queue, sending me the wrong disc at the wrong time, to my much better and my much better in terms of quality list from Cult Cinema Classics later.